Welcome, welcome, welcome. This may be your fifth video today that you're watching, or maybe the 10th, or perhaps even the first. Thank you for dropping by and staying with us. My name is Garima, and I'll be your host for this video today. The purpose of this session is to talk about LinkedIn strategies that you can use to build your profile and enhance your presence online. LinkedIn, as you know, is a platform that's used more professionally to connect with your networks, to showcase your work, to look for job opportunities, and so much more. So, in this video, I'm so excited to share with you a couple of things. The first is we're going to look at the purpose in terms of what LinkedIn is meant for. And then we'll jump into the meat of the essay of this video, which is looking at how we should develop our profile. Now, one thing that makes this video unique from everything else that you would have seen online is the fact that I'll be sharing my personal experiences of how I gained over 5,000 plus followers on the platform. And I've seen a lot of AI generated content on LinkedIn about LinkedIn, and I see that it's not very effective. So, here are some real tested do's and don'ts that you can use for your profile, things that have worked for me. And the next section is going to be content, where I'll focus on what works and what doesn't work. And then I'll conclude with a bunch of guidelines, just basic do's and don'ts that one can keep in mind before concluding. So, who's excited to dive deep in? Let's start. So, what is the purpose of LinkedIn? A lot of people use it for job hunting. Some people use it for networking. There's also professional development where we've got LinkedIn offering a bunch of courses to upskill yourself. Students use it for internship opportunities or looking at entry level jobs. And then you've got business leaders who use it for personal branding, which is again another very important component of creating a lifelong presence on a platform that speaks for you and about you. And lastly, of course, engaging with industry experts, industry content, and just following what's happening in your own sector. So let's jump right into profile building and understand what that entails. The first and the most important thing in a profile is your display picture. Now, it's very important to have a professionally shot photo ready for this. Make sure that you don't have anything blurry in the background. Make sure it's not a group photograph that you have, it's you. Ensure that your front face is visible and it's not like a side profile or just something that doesn't allow someone to recognize you by the image itself. So, basic things to keep in mind around having a formal photograph for the LinkedIn display picture. Now, the next element is a background photo, which is the banner that appears right on top. This is often a space which is underrated. I don't see too many users actually make use of the this space. What you should do is identify one central narrative in your entire profile that you want somebody to take away after they scan your profile, like that one central idea that you want someone to take away. Depict that in the form of a picture and put it up. So, for instance, if you're a student and you're on campus, you're studying, you could have the picture of your university campus up there. So, one idea you want them to take away is that, well, you're a student studying at this campus. If you're launching a business or you're working, you already have a business running, you could put the tagline or the logo or anything of that sort. But make sure that you've got an active banner which allows you to display what you stand for. The next is the headline. Now, the headline is what appears at the bottom of your name. It has to be a bunch of words. It cannot be complete sentences because very often people are not able to read the whole thing depending on what platform they are accessing that particular profile. So keep it crisp. And if you are putting in your brand names, be it the university, the workspace, or wherever you're at, ensure that you don't have more than three key ideas that are depicted in the headline. The next is the summary or the about section. Now, this is a very interesting space to talk about yourself. There's a word limit of 2,600 characters, which is broadly 350 to 400 words. Good enough to talk about yourself. The way I use this on my LinkedIn is to give a brief third person description of what I've done with the latest things right on top, so that even when I have to go and speak at different events, people can just take my blurb from the summary section and use it rather than reaching out to me again and again for um, a, a, a brief description about my work. So that's how it's helped me. I would suggest that keep the most recent engagements on top. Make sure you've got your a summary of your work experience as well as your academic experience there. And you can even put in motivational quotes. I've often seen people talk about things that have inspired them or what they really stand for in these summary sections. So feel free to play around, but make sure you fill it out. And then you've got the experience and the education. Now, this goes without saying, it has to be in the chronological order. And I think LinkedIn automatically does that if you put in the right dates. And some people have noticed that there's a trend where a lot of senior professionals don't put in the year they graduated or the number of years they worked in a particular profile. I think that's great when you are a senior leader. But if you're starting out, I would recommend you to put the chronology there, because a lot of time recruiters look for how long you've worked at a place, if you've got any gap years and things like that. So do not skip that information while you're putting these details down. And then we've got a bunch of other aspects in the profile. For instance, if you've done any online courses and you have active licenses, put it there to display your credibility. Your volunteering experience. Now, that's also pretty critical because it shows that you have a well rounded profile and it's not just stuff that you're doing in your workspaces or in your professional life, but it's things that you're doing outside and the way you're giving back to society as well. And then there's an interesting section on recommendations. Now, if you worked with in teams with people on different projects, it could be within the organization, it could be a cross-functional engagement, it could be just stuff that you've collaborated on. Make sure that you seek out, ask your clients for recommendations, ask your peers for recommendations, and also do the reverse. Recommend them as well for work that you've done, because this plays a very critical role in establishing credibility. Now, this is the only section where you have another voice talking about you and advocating for you. So the rest of the profile is just stuff that you've done and you're talking about yourself. But having a third person talk about you can add a lot of credibility and it helps round the application off. So ensure that you give recommendations and ask for recommendations on LinkedIn. And then you've got publications, courses, test scores if they remain relevant to you if you're especially starting out, languages that you know. Again, this helps in international mobility, and organizations that you've been associated with over the long term. So, that in a nutshell is what profile building is about. I'm now going to move on to content strategies. Again, I've done a lot of hit and trial to understand what kind of content works and what kind of content doesn't work. So, one thing that's important, and I guess that's the most important idea that I'm going to communicate in this section, is to be authentic. And what does that mean? Well, it means that you must have a voice which is your own rather than just copying anything and everything that you see online. Now, in the age of AI, generative AI especially, you've got so much content that can be created for you just at the click of a button, that sometimes it becomes difficult to sieve through all this data that's been generated, and it doesn't leave a lasting impression. I've also tried to use AI to create content for LinkedIn, and I've realized that those posts often fail to garner the engagement that I'm looking for. And posts, on the other hand, where I've actually put myself out there, been vulnerable, or shared some insights that are unique to me, that's when I really see people come forward and exchange their ideas. So, the first and the most important point that I want to communicate is that of being authentic. Of course, use formal English. Do not put in that text language that you use on your mobile phones. Uh, The idea of using emojis is something that's debatable. I see a lot of people post on LinkedIn that have emojis, and it's worked for them as well. But it depends on the voice that you want to communicate with. I personally like to limit the use of emojis and not so much, and just write formal English. But it depends on you which way you want to go, because I've seen both strategies work here. And then hashtags. Hashtags are so important. Hashtags allow your message to actually get picked up if someone's looking for something that's trending. And make sure that when you talk about a temporal issue, something that's currently in the news, especially festivals, stuff people have done, breaking news, uh, also obituaries when important personalities pass away. So anything that's current, make sure you add hashtags so that you can just get discovered easily. And then web links. So the strategy around web links is that you must attach the web links in the comment section and not in your the main body of the post, simply because LinkedIn will convert it into a localized link, and then sometimes it just takes away from the link of the website. For instance, if it's a YouTube link or something else, you may want to allow the audience to know where you're taking them from there. So I always prefer putting my links in the comment section rather than in the main post. And of course, putting a mention saying that the links are in the comment section. We've got images and photographs. They allow for creating a very engaging post. Now, of course, you can download an image from the web, but I would also encourage you to consider taking photographs wherever you go, be it a conference that you've attended or anywhere. It could just simply be even just the title of the conference or just an arrow directing you to that conference, just something that tells a story, something that allows people to engage with that content more deeply. So always carry photographs and videos with you. And the last point is on tagging. So to get more people to talk about you and the work that you've done, ensure that you tag the relevant people and also reciprocate to their posts. So when you comment on other people's posts, your profile automatically gets uplifted as well. Here are two samples that I've attached. This was a post that I wrote a month after graduating from Harvard, and I'd just been candid about what I was experiencing at that point, and it garnered a lot of comments, and I also got DMs on it, and I felt that being authentic really worked. On the other hand, there was this post which was AI generated, where I created a video on YouTube on civil engineering, and I used AI to summarize that video and put out the key points and why this video is relevant. And I saw that it actually did not garner as much traction as I wanted, simply because I guess probably LinkedIn was able to figure that out. Uh, the algo was able to figure that out, or it's the people that were reading that were able to figure that out as well. So you can obviously log on to my find me on LinkedIn, and you'll obviously be able to see some of these posts that I've put out examples of. Some general guidelines and do's and don'ts before I conclude. So, one, have a focused goal for your LinkedIn profile. Uh, you know, uh, think and reflect a little bit on what is it that you want to communicate and what is it that you want to get out of LinkedIn. Create that goal for yourself and ensure your content is aligned to that goal. Make sure whenever you send someone a request, add a note, because it does make your profile stand out, and compared to say 90% of the other requests that I get, which do not have a message attached. Then it's not just about engagement, it's also about responding with other people and their content. We've already discussed this. It's important to stay active on the platform. So, do not just appear once and then disappear for a couple of months. And make sure that you engage with people and connect with people after you've attended any other virtual session or an offline session. So, that in a nutshell is what I wanted to communicate. If you want to follow my profile, here's the link. If you want to get in touch with me or you have any questions, here's my email address. I'm currently working on a new idea, which is supporting students in exploring different career domains using AI and tech. And if you want to get early access to this, log on to evolvingcareer.org, and I hope to see you on the other side. Thank you for joining in today. Take care.